evening. Welcome to the 35th edition of the Munich Film Festival. My name is Sofia Glasl. I'm a programmer for the festival, and I brought my colleague Malko Solf with me.
Hi, I'm Malko. I'm director of Seriencamp, a festival that takes place in October for series, and I'm happy to help here out with the interview.
Thank you. And we are
it's going well so far.
Yes, totally. We planned this differently. We planned an introduction and then get you up on stage. So this was
okay.
that.
So we kind of, I see. You were going to say here.
Yes, we're very proud to have you here as a guest of honor.
Well, thank you. Good to be here. Hello, everybody. It's a nice stage. I like the...
Just to get this a little in order, this Q&A, we split it roughly into 3 parts. We want to start with the past, go to the present, and obviously the future. And at the end of each segment, not even at the end, the middle, you will all get the chance to pose questions, ask questions, talk to Bryan, as long as he wants to.
We have plenty of time.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to start with the past, Sofia.
Yeah, and probably everybody here knows you as Hal and Malcolm in the Middle, or Walter White in Breaking Bad, but I'm not quite sure if everybody knows you, well, the pre-Malcolm in the Middle Bryan Cranston. So maybe just let's start off with the question, how did your family influence your choice to become an actor?
Well, I think greatly. My parents met in Hollywood in 1949 and in an acting class. And they fell madly in love, or lust, I think as the case was. And in those days, they got married. They didn't want to live in sin, so to speak. So they got married, started having kids. My dad was an actor, my mom was, but she stopped doing that so she can be a housewife and a mother, which she regretted years through that, realizing that she was yearning for her own independence and identity. And it was another generation before women were able to do that and come out from under the oppression of the male dominance of the world and be able to have their own. My dad was, he worked often, and he worked in television and film and radio, and it was fun. It was a good life, and we were there in Hollywood, and we would go to different movie sets and television places, and it was exciting to be on the lots, and then I started working as well. As a child, I did a couple commercials that he directed and was doing some plays and things like that. And then it all turned. It all went bad. For the first 10 years, it was a very normal life. Mother, father, little house. I had an older brother and a younger sister. And then he had the breakdown of all breakdowns, and had an affair, left the family, destroyed the family. My mother was deeply depressed, started drinking heavily, and the whole foundation that my childhood was based on just crumbled and was destroyed, really. And it left me very insecure and introverted. And the plan was, because we got foreclosed on our house. I didn't see my father from the time I was 11 to the time I was 22 years old. And I never heard from him, never saw him. My mother was self-medicating and emotionally wasn't available. So the plan was to go off and live with our German grandparents. My grandfather and grandmother, they were both from Germany. She of Lithuanian descent, but born in Germany. My grandfather, deep roots in Germany, from Hamburg, Otto Wilhelm. And he was a baker by trade, and emigrated to the United States before World War I. So a long, long time. He was just a boy. Anyway, we didn't want to go live with them because we liked them and loved them, but they were strict. Can you imagine that? Germans being strict. What we didn't realize is like the song, you know, you don't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. And that's exactly what we needed. My brother and I needed some discipline, and we needed some consistency, and we needed love, and they were that to us. They were really wonderful people, but they made us do our homework on time, chores, and everything was like by the book. Everything was just drilled into us. I wrote a book about it last year, in memoirs, where I was barely 12, and I was now in charge of killing chickens. I had to chop the heads off chickens and drain their blood. And my brother had to go first, and he took the hatchet and went down, and he closed his eyes, and it went into the comb of the chicken, you know, and it's like, oh, God. So I killed my first chicken, and I was determined to hold on to it, and it's shaking and shaking, and the wings got free, and the wings went into the blood bucket and started spraying up, and I'm holding on to the chicken, and there's blood all over me, and I'm holding on to the chicken, and it's moving, and it was horrible. And my brother took a garden hose and hosed me down, and I was crying. But that's what they taught me. They taught us the value of work, and to develop a work ethic, and to not do work for the sake of gaining something else. And that's what I do. They've also instilled a joy of work. I love to work. And I think it was that foundation that made me realize when I was 22 years old that I would rather pursue something that I loved and hopefully became good at it, as opposed to pursuing something I was good at but did not love. So that was my criteria. When that epiphany came into my head, I realized, okay, I need to pursue this thing that I love to do called acting, and see what happens.
So the first 10, 20 years of your acting career were going steady, but on a slow to medium level, and you got your breakthrough with Malcolm in the Middle. But you just said you'd rather do something you love on a level that's just fine, then try something else. So the question there is, when did Bryan Cranston make it, in your own opinion, make it? When did he make it? Did you make it when you started, when you were working as an actor and you could provide for your family food and everything, or was it that point when you became a star with Malcolm in the Middle?
It's still my proudest professional achievement. By the age of 25, I worked consistently from that age on, and that was the only thing I've ever done since the age of 25, is to work as an actor. To be able to say that legitimately, that I am a professional actor, was and still remains my proudest moment. So that's it. I don't have any other designs of how much. I never thought about it, and to this day, I don't know how much money I make on projects.
I don't know either, don't look at me.
Yeah. But I have people who are very concerned with that. And they're incentivized, agents and lawyers, who they make a percentage of whatever I make. So I just ask them, I truly, are you happy with the contract? And they go, we think we can get more. And I say, by all means. So it's not a, oh, I don't need money, artistic, oh, money doesn't matter. Money matters a lot. I've been poor, and I've been rich. Rich is better. Yeah. So I was on a book tour last year, and a lot of young authors out there, and I very much feel for them and say, how do I've been submitting my writing month after month, year after year. How do I get published? How do I crack in and get published? And I say, I have a way you can get published. It's a guaranteed route to publish. And they're getting their pads out, and they're going to write this down because this is going to change their life. And I said, there's a surefire way to get published. First, become a TV star. So make no bones about it. I had the opportunity to write a book because of television. That's why. If I wasn't the star of Malcolm or Breaking Bad, they weren't going to offer me a book deal. So the cascade of opportunity has come up. And like my grandparents instilled, you make hay when the sun is shining. When you have the opportunity to produce and create, take it. So I've been really busy. At some point, as is the nature of fame or celebrity, that will come to an end. It will crest and it'll start to wane, and at some point it'll flatten out. And when it does, I want to be completely exhausted and looking forward to the downtime. It's like, oh, good, I get to rest. And I mean that. So, but right now, it's like I keep going, keep going, keep going. Because I have the feeling, and maybe it's because of the experience, that this is what is now. But when I was 10 years old, everything stopped what I knew, and I had to create a whole new foundation. And now this is going on for me, and I know it'll stop. I don't know when, but I know it will. And I won't be surprised when it does.
I think maybe we can open this up to the audience. Are there any questions?
And we will touch Breaking Bad in about 10 minutes, so all the Breaking Bad questions later.
Hello. Hello. How was working on Seinfeld?
Great.
Okay, sorry.
Seinfeld was like going to comedy boot camp. It was a training ground that was so ripe. I was entitled to be there because I got a job. I made Jerry laugh one time. In the book, I write the story about one of my first experiences. And there was an episode where Jerry thought I was molesting him. I thought I molested him. I did. Anyway, we're in my office as a dentist, and I have the stool, and I'm dealing with the pieces, and it was supposed to be where I asked for the nitrous oxide, the laughing gas, from my dental hygienist, and I give it to Jerry. He goes under, and then we molest him. Very funny. We were practicing that, and then the other actors went off, and I stayed on my set to make sure that I knew where how the instruments are, and because I wanted to feel comfortable in what my character would know. And then I hear a voice, "Hey, you know what would be funny?" And there was a guy on a ladder, and he's adjusting a light, and he says, "You know what would be funny?" And I go, "What? What would be funny?" Man on a ladder, tell me what would be funny. And he said it would be funny is when you get the laughing gas, if you took a hit first and then gave it to him. And I realized, oh my God, that is funny. So I waited until we were rolling and shooting. I didn't tell anybody. And sure enough, I said, "Nurse, may I have the nitrous oxide?" She hands it to me, and I go, "That's good." And then I gave it, well, Jerry starts laughing. He bends over laughing. And it was funny. And Larry David, who doesn't often laugh, when he's working like that, he goes, but he recognizes humor. That's funny. That's very funny. Very funny. That's good. Very funny. That's good. Wait, 5 seconds. Now come in. Now it's funny. Good. Yes. Here we go. He would just be able to intellectualize humor. And he said, that's very funny. That's very funny. Jerry couldn't stop laughing. Every time I'd go, nurse, and he'd start laughing. And he would chastise, Jerry, stop laughing. Stop laughing. As is to this day, when you see an episode of that show and you see Jerry with a big smile, it's the one they had to take because he wasn't laughing. He was just smiling. But then the guy's not on the ladder anymore, but they were praising me for the idea. And I said, no, no, no. I go, oh, it's that guy. And all heads turn to this guy. And he was then standing in the corner with his arms folded. And then I pointed to him, all faces looked at him, and he just went. As if I've got a million of them.
Hi, Bryan. My name is Matt.
Hi, Matt.
First of all, I really want to tell you that I really appreciate your work, not just as an actor, but as an inspirational teacher as well, because I saw a lot of YouTube videos and talks and interviews you did, and I really want to thank you for that and keep going for that.
Thank you, Matt.
With not going to an audition to get a job, to going to an audition to do a job is amazing, it's great. But my question is following. There's also always two sides of the acting job. One is the training and the auditioning and everything. And the other one is more rational, like networking, finding or knowing the auditions and all this other part. Do you have one good advice for this part? Because on that I'm really not good at all.
Well, you have to be physically there. You're talking about here in Munich to be able to be sent out for roles?
Well, I'm from Austria.
Okay.
So
in Vienna? Or?
Vienna.
Okay.
Exactly. So
In Vienna, is there a thriving theatrical world for actors? I mean, does it?
Oh yes, theatrical, yes.
Uh-huh.
The film industry is very not so much going on. But
Well, at some point, if you want to continue to pursue professionally, you need to be in the place where there's a lot of work. You need just increase your odds of having more opportunity, right?
so what do you think about if I, as an Austrian, go to LA or
You have to go as an Austrian? You will greatly improve your odds if you can you not have that accent? Yeah. I mean, it's like saying to another actor, oh, I don't do comedy, I only do drama. Well, okay, that's fine, but you're cutting out half of opportunities. I don't sing at all. Okay, well, you're cutting out another half. I only can act in my own natural accent. Okay, well, you're limiting more. The more versatile you can make yourself, the more opportunities will present themselves to you. So I would work immediately on neutralizing an accent, pulling it out anytime. It's not a shame thing. It's just a numbers thing. Or else also working on a British accent and a flat standard American accent. I have a standard American accent. You listen to my English accent, and you cannot tell where I'm from. You could tell I'm from the United States, but you don't know where in the United States. But I can then go regional and do Boston, New York, Southern, Texas, Midwest. So, bing, bing, ding, 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 ding. I'll perform for you. But and I can do British accents, so it helps. And I've done those in feature films. So you increase your opportunity by your versatility. And that's what I would work on right now. I would just start with.
One continuing question on that. So
the follow-up question.
So what should I do if I go to Los Angeles or a place where I should do?
Well, what's the first thing you should do? Find a job. And find a place to live. And work. And make sure you learn how to get around. I know you're eager, as every actor is eager to start working. Yeah. And you will, and get into an acting class or two and a comedy improv class. Absolutely essential. Comedy improv. Any performer should get into comedy improv immediately. Why? Well, if I ask you to get up on stage here and you find the courage to do so, and you haven't a clue what I'm about to have you do, and you can somehow become fine with that. You don't get nervous about that, but you only will not get nervous if you do it over and over and over and over again. Then, when you go into a room and you know what you're going to do, you've worked on your scene, you're going to go into that room feeling fine. But if you're used to doing comedy improv, thinking on your feet, changing subject, putting on a character, being facile in your work, it's going to help you. It's going to help you tremendously. I would insist on any actors to do that. And if you're writers and directors out there, you need to take acting classes. If you're going to put words into actors' mouths, you should know what it feels like to do that. If you're going to give direction to an actor, know what it feels like to receive that direction. It's all about the work. There is no shortcut, I could tell you that. There's no magic dust. It's all about work. And you got to be willing to really work. Dedicate your life to work. When I was doing my survival jobs, I volunteered every weekend. I'll work restaurant work. I'll work every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I miss every party. I don't care. I don't care about parties. I'm here to work. So you have to ask yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice? Do you have a burning passion to become a professional actor? Because if you don't, you won't make it. Because it's hard. Because there's a lot of resistance. And the sheer numbers are just unbelievable. So the only thing that gets you through is your passion that I'm in. There's a poker term, all in. I'm all in. It means I'm here. Whether it means I share a flat with 3 other actors, I'm 61 years old now, it doesn't matter. I don't care. Whatever it takes. I'm an actor. Or if I started to make a living, wow. I met a woman who's an actor and we got together and we've been together for 30 years. We have a child, we have a little house. Everything was wonderful. And I had no designs on needing more or wanting more. Why? Because I'm working as an actor. I'm making a living as an actor. That's your success. But you gotta have a desire. You have to have a burning desire. If you think that you can be happy doing anything else, do that anything else. I'll save you a lot of time. Do something else. Because when you meet resistance, sheer numbers of resistance, because there's never going to be a shortage of actors in the world. You're never going to see it on monster.com. You're not going to see, we desperately need actors in the world. I'll give it a try, what the heck. Never. So that's it. But I will say this, though. If you do have that burning desire, then you need to try. You must try. The worst thing I can think of is regret. Don't be that person who has that passion, that desire to do it, and then, I better not, and I'll do something else, and you make a living, and 30 years later, you're doing something that you never did love, but you may be good at, and you'll always wonder, I wish I had tried, I wish I had taken the chance. I would rather try something and fail. At least I'll know that I tried and I wasn't good at it. than to not try. Because if you don't try, you are guaranteed to fail. Good luck.
Would you have become an actor without your family of actors? And what was the other option, if there was any?
We are products of our upbringing, wherever we happen to live, our economical background, the influence that our parents or whoever raised you have, whatever you come from, cultures, right? We're a sum total of all those things. And since my father left the family and my mother was kind of gone emotionally, I was kind of adrift, to be honest with you. And we were very poor. My brother, at the age of 16, joined what was called the Police Explorers, like a branch of the Boy Scouts in Los Angeles. I don't know why, except, because he never talked about being a policeman, except that the moment he got in, he had to go through some training, and he got in, he's 16 years old, and they, as a group, went to Hawaii. He sent me a postcard of a naked girl on it. It said, "Ha ha, you're not here," you know. Went to Hawaii, how exotic. The next year he went to Japan with this group. And that was it. I thought, I'm joining. As soon as I'm 16, the minimum age, I'm joining this group because they can travel. And as an afterthought, I went, oh, I have to study police work. Oh, okay. And I guess also I didn't consciously know it at the time, but I think subliminally I was looking for a strong father figure, perhaps, and a policeman, very authoritative, and I thought, oh, okay. So I go and I join, and I go to the police academy, and I discover I'm good at this. I graduated first in my class out of 111 16-year-olds, boys and girls. So naturally, I thought, oh, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a policeman. I'm going to be a policeman. So I go to college studying police science. And I'm going to do 4 years of that, then go into the police academy. That was the plan. Makes sense. Sure enough, 16 years old, we travel. Where'd we go? First stop, Germany. I'm with, there were 20 of us. We're 16 and 17-year-old boys with 5 policeman chaperones, and all of them saying, behave yourselves, and we're going, okay. And we go to the beer gardens, and we have I was like, oh my God, it was fantastic. And the girls, and it was just wonderful. But we're going to be policemen until college. And as an elective course, I took an acting course because my dad was an actor, and I kind of dabbled in it a little bit. And yeah, it would actually be very common. It's the family business, so kind of ordinary. And I take this acting class. The very first class, I'm 18 years old, almost 19. And the teacher, I'm standing up, and the teacher, we're all gathering around in a space not dissimilar from this, and he's handing out sheets. You two read this, you two read this. And I happen to be standing next to a very pretty girl. And I read, I'm nervous, and I look at this, and it says, a couple is making out on a park bench. And I look over to her, and she hasn't read it yet. She's talking to a friend. And she's talking to a friend, and I'm thinking, oh, any moment now, she's gonna read that, and she's gonna look to see who she has to kiss. And I have to make myself look more attractive. So, like those Earth movies, you know, where you see the birds of Madagascar, the plumage is coming up, and it's like, hey, I would make a good mate. I'm kind of posturing, you know, like trying to look cool, and she does eventually look at the sheet, and she goes, and she looks over, and I'm like, And she looks at me and she goes like this. That was a victory. I took that totally as a victory. It wasn't a grimace. So it was like, she was considering. Yes! So my line is, Beth, we need to talk. My character has to stop the kissing and say, Beth, we need to talk. We were called up. I'm on the bench. I'm thinking, I'm going to kiss her. I hope she's ready. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to just kiss this girl. She's not going to know what's hit her. And I put my script down, and before I turn, whop, she's on me. And I mean tongue and hands, and she starts moving her body. She's on top of me, and we're kissing on this bench and kissing. And tongue and hands and tapping and kissing and tapping and I didn't know what the tapping was. So maybe it's a thing. I was young. So I started tapping back. You like that? Yeah. And she's tapping and I'm tapping her and we're kissing. And then it dawned on me, she's tapping me to get on with the scene. Her character can't stop the kiss. She doesn't want to break up. My character has to stop the kissing. And I was like, and I'm nervous and I pull her away from me and I say, I forgot what I was supposed to say. And I was like, Beth, we need to talk. And finally I relaxed. We got into it. We started talking. We got through the scene. At the break, I thought, okay, this is the easiest date I'm ever going to get. We've already jumped 2 things. We're 3 dates down already. We're making out. I will just ask her to lunch. It's easy. I go up to her and I say, hey, thought the scene went pretty well. She said, it was a little rough to begin with. And, yeah, sorry about that, but I didn't know what the tapping was, but I got it. And I said, you want to go out for lunch sometime? And she looked at me like I was a lost puppy and went, oh, no. No. I would have bet any amount of money she liked me. I would have bet anything. She was into me. She was kissing me in passion. She didn't. She was acting. I don't know what happened to Meryl Streep, but so you see what happens is that I was blown away. First of all, my job, my responsibility in this class was to make out with this pretty girl. Oh my God. Where that never happened in the police science courses, I can tell you that for sure. Never happened. So that was one thing that was spinning my young head. The second thing was I thought she loved me. She didn't. She was acting. So that was the other thing. Like, oh my God, how could I be so wrong? Oh my God, I just witnessed something so powerful. I have to sit down because I don't know what to do. And that was the end of my police work. Just that because girls. So I wish it was something lofty and, professor, well, yes, I saw the need to create art on a certain level. No. Girls is the answer. Girls was the answer.
We wrote down dozens of questions nobody wants to hear. Can you just tell stories for another hour? But maybe I'll give you let's go to Breaking Bad because everybody wants to hear about Breaking Bad stories. Okay. Go.
Let me first say, and it's the answer to Matt's question. in order to have a professional career in this business, whether you're a writer, an actor, or a director, you need 4 things that you really need to master. You need talent. If I asked you if you were talented, I hope you would say yes. And it's not a boast. What I don't like to see in young actors is any chest pounding. This is not that. This is quiet confidence in your work. You have to value your talent. So when you go into, and whether or not you're not even considering this career, you're in some other line of work, you have to have a quiet confidence and an evaluation of who you are and what you bring. And that is conveyed into the room. Anytime you present yourself with confidence, not boasting, not egocentric, not narcissistic, but quiet confidence of what you are and who you and what you can do, that feeds, we feed off that. When I cast now, when I'm directing and producing, and I feel a person come in with that quiet confidence, I want more. I want more, as long as you're talented. Quiet confidence alone doesn't do it. You got to be talented. So you have to be talented. You have to know and value your talent. You have to be persistent. You cannot wait for that phone to ring. You have to keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Keep finding ways to act. Where? This student film, this play, this industrial film. There's a TV show you have to keep putting out the energy. You have to also be patient, which is not a contradiction to being persistent. You have to be able to do that without gnawing your fingernails that it's taking too long. You have to just keep doing it and be patient with it. And the last thing that every professional person in the arts needs and has had, certainly myself included, but I would say every single successful person in the arts has had luck. You need luck. You cannot have a successful career without it. And I say that not as a discouragement, but as an encouragement. That luck can come at any time in your life, as long as you are in that realm ready to receive it. You know what I mean? If I say, come on into the room, let me see what you can do, that's luck. But if you can't perform, that's not luck. You weren't ready. You got to constantly be ready. Keep working the craft, like going to the gym. That's what it takes. And luck is that X factor. You can't plan for it, but you can be ready for it. You don't know when it's going to happen. Let me give you a quick story and why it's true. 7 years of Malcolm in the Middle, they told us, don't take down the sets. We might pick you up for an 8th season. Oh, we're keeping our fingers crossed. We had so much fun. It's a blast. It's great fun. You go and make people laugh for a living. 7 years of that. And they said, we might pick you up for another season. So keep all the sets up. We'll let you know in a month. We're hoping it happens. A month comes up, and Fox, the studio, says no. We had a good pilot season for TV series, and we're going to go that way. I'm sorry. Oh, man. Bad luck. Or is it? So I do a play after the finish of Malcolm in the Middle, and then a script comes to me that on the cover I didn't know what it meant, but it said Breaking Bad by Vince Gilligan. I read it. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I got the job because of Vince Gilligan being my champion. Why? Because he wrote an episode of X-Files that I also happened to get, strictly by luck. I'm telling you, luck. And he remembered me from that job. I'm on time, I do a good job, I give it full effort, and he remembered me. He was my champion to get Breaking Bad. The studio and the network were saying, well, the goofy dad from Malcolm in the Middle to play Walter White? Are you out of your mind? And he said, like what we always want to hear, he's an actor. That's what they do. They take on characters and they take them off and put on another character and take that one off. So he was my champion to get the role. We shot the pilot in February and March. Had we picked up an 8th season of Malcolm in the Middle, we wouldn't have finished shooting until the beginning of April. Someone else would have played Walter White. someone else would be standing on this stage right now. Luck. So that's luck. So what may seem unfortunate at the time, just have a little thing in the back of your head going, okay, something better. Something else is going to come up. This wasn't for me. I'm destined to do something else. And to keep that positive attitude, because you do, you need that positive. You can't let it grind you down. Look, life itself has a way of being oppressive, and you have to find your ways, whether you meditate or do yoga or run or whatever, you have to find your ways to get out from under the oppression of everyday life. And you need to do that so that you're clean and clear when you go into that room to audition. You don't want to be pissed off because something else happened and your girlfriend took your cat, and it was like, it's a journey. But I'm telling you, luck plays a huge role in this. So for all of you who are interested and already are working and in the business or working toward being in the business, savor that. Let that know that that's a little something in your back pocket that can show itself at any time. Just be ready for when it goes, here's your opportunity. Be ready with the best material you've ever written. Be ready with a good monologue that you can deliver, or a director's reel that you can show someone. Be ready. That's the case.
Hi, Bryan. As far as I know, you also directed some episodes of Breaking Bad, I think 3 episodes, and 7 episodes of Malcolm in the Middle. Have you ever thought or considered to focus on directing movies?
Yes.
Okay.
I directed a little movie that I wrote myself and put myself in. It was a gift to my wife when she was still acting, and I gave it to her as a birthday present. The script. And she said, oh, this is great. And I thought I was done. And she said, when are we going to make it? And I was like, so I just had to, at one point, I just went out and made it. It's called Last Chance. It's a very empowering story about a woman who feels that she doesn't have any choice in her life, options in her life, and how a change of perception changes it for her. She doesn't move, but just her perceptive ability to see something in a different way opened up her life and realized that she still had power in her life. And so it was my gift to her, and it was great to do, great fun. Did it next to nothing cost-wise, but if you get a chance, Last Chance is what it's called. So check it out. It's a sweet film. And I've written scripts. I've written a bunch of scripts. We have one that's in the pipeline now, because sometimes scripts go, yes, that's, oh, no, you left and went, and this is, okay, put that down. But this one's going, you never know. It's almost like a horse race, like, oh, that one's in front, that one's in, oh, what, who's, but you keep working, is what I'm saying. So you should be writing. You should be doing all these other things, because when I started writing, it made my auditions better, because I wasn't so focused on the need to create. I was already creating and telling stories in my writing, so it took the pressure off. It was really great. But yes, I have some stories that I want to direct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to take somebody in the back now.
Take someone in the back. You sat too close. See? Your choices, man. You got to think about your decision making.
I won. I'm in the back.
Hi.
Hi. I have one question concerning your film Wakefield, because you shared now with us that you have had this story with your father who went away, and you've seen him a lot of years later, and you also talk about your relationship to be poor, or you know how to be poor, to have money, and these are both themes which are, for me, very much in this film, Wakefield, for the man who goes away from his family, and really he was a good situated man, and then he's really goes in this poorness, and at the end he goes back. So how was your work in this film? How much
That's a great question, and I think
I have to present it this evening, so I'm really curious about. So,
Wakefield, which is in the festival, a very small movie. We shot it in 20 days. I don't really know what the budget was, but it was very small. And when I first read it, I put it aside and I didn't like the character. And I think for those reasons. The character was selfish. The character abandoned his children and his wife and his colleagues at work, just left them in the dust. What's to like about that? But I kept thinking about the character, and as we know with Walter White, the important thing is not necessarily that one likes a character. We've progressed from the white hat, black hat, always good protagonist, always bad antagonist. That's boring, and it's unsophisticated. And all of you now demand and should get more sophistication in the writing, more nuance and ambiguity in the writing. A good person is not always a good person. Let's see when he's not. So I was able to look at the character and go, I think it's honest, though. This is what happened to this man. He wanted to push the pause button on his life. He wanted to step away from the hamster wheel of just constantly working and constantly, is this my life? I'm just, a slave to my own success, even though he was a successful lawyer. Do I just have to keep working in order to keep all this going? It's like a juggler. Can he walk away? No, he's got to keep going. And he just wants to push the pause button, so he does. He just thinks it's going to be for a couple hours. But in essence, what happens to Howard Wakefield is that he can't unstick that button. He doesn't know how to re-enter his family. So in order for me to take that on as an actor, I look at that and I go, I think it's honest. I have some issues about abandonment, as you would guess, and I have to be able to somehow reconcile that and come to a place of neutrality. So an actor can't stand in judgment of his character. I needed to get to neutral. So I have basically no judgment of him yet until I put on his skin and walk in his shoes. And then you start justifying why he does what he does so that you can honestly portray that character. But if I'm in judgment of it, they're asking me if I'd be interested in playing Donald Trump. And as Shakespearean as that character is, as tragically Shakespearean, I have too much negative judgment on him to be able to play that character. So I can't get away from that. So I can't do that. But Howard Wakefield, I was able to look at and understand, he wasn't intending to abandon his wife or his children at the outset. His inability to be able to confront a problem created a chasm. I get that. Sometimes, how many of you have ever seen the call come in from your spouse and you push, you just turn it off? Come on. Let's be honest. It's like, and it's not that you don't love them, it's just that I'm just not right now. I'll call her back, right? I'll do it later. And that's what he's doing. I'll deal with it later. I'll deal with it. I can't, not now. And every step he took back from being able to confront the initial issue, he was less and less able to then re-enter his life. It's a social curiosity, and it asks that existential question of who really are you? Are you a sum of your occupation? Is that how you identify yourself? What happens to Howard Wakefield? It shakes down to the basic. He's just a man who now is looking for the basics of life: shelter, food, clothing. It's really interesting from how he transitions from one step to the other. I hope you get a chance to see it. But I think you're right. I think that's
tonight at 8.
It's Saturday.
Yeah, tonight in the Half F Kino.
Oh, okay, great.
Last question, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's the last question. Oh, no pressure. Make it a really, really good question. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the best question anyone has ever asked. Wow.
Okay. So it's gonna suck, probably. But is there any specific actor or actress, director you want to work with? Like you love... So it was a good one.
The guy on the ladder. I'm intrigued by so many. I've worked with a lot of really fine actors. I know Meryl, but I've never worked with her. That would be fun. She's a really nice person and a very down to earth person. Yeah, I'm not starstruck in that sense. I'm not like, ooh, God, I don't know, what would it be like? I just think all actors are the same. We're all just looking for an opportunity to create, and so I don't get, oh, I really want to work with this person, or I really want to work with that. Sorry, it was a pretty good question. It was a terrible answer. Let's do one more, so it's not this guy over here.
Yeah. Do you have a process or a method to create a character and create behavior of a character?
Creating a character. Yeah, so like the 4 things you need to be able to exist in the business, you also need 4 things to be able to create a character. And again, talent shows up. You have to be talented. And you can't teach talent. But a good teacher can open up a person into realizing their own talent. That is true. Or they can enhance what's already there. But you can't teach someone to have instinct like that. So you have to have talent, but you also have to have an insatiable curiosity. I am very curious about people. I love observing people. It's the thing that, you know, unfortunately, one of the downsides to being a celebrity is that I can't really do it anymore. Because once the observer becomes the observed, then all bets are off. Behavior changes. But I will always watch behavior. Every actor, director, and writer should be working constantly. If I ever hear of an actor, writer, or director being bored, I would say to them, well, you're just not working hard enough. You're just not working. Shame on you. You should be working. And you could be working every hour of the day in a shopping mall, in restaurants, in hospital waiting rooms, in airports, and train stations. You see people of all levels of anxiety or anticipation or joy or grief or whatever, and you're studying human behavior so that you can replicate it. So that's part of it. You have to have a filing cabinet filled with all these memories of things that you've observed. And you have to have an insatiable curiosity to go into source material, to read books. So on isolationism and things that I was looking at when I was doing Howard Wakefield, and what it takes in that sense, and what to have someone remove oneself from society. So you talent, curiosity, and doing research. You then also have to have an accessibility to your emotions. You felt grief, you felt jealousy, you felt rage, you felt love, you felt lust, you have to be willing and able to reach down in and pull out what's ever necessary. You have to be willing to be naked in front of a camera or on stage, figuratively or literally. Are you willing to be naked? Are you? There you go. Not in a gratuitous way, but in a way that, like, no, I mean, there were several times in Breaking Bad I had to be naked.
Are you going to make strip?
And I'm naked now under these clothes. What?
Make striptease now for us.
I'm going to strip now? Not unless there's music. The last thing I'll say was that is imagination. Your imagination then connects anything that you don't have a personal history to. If you're playing a murderer, please don't go out and murder someone and tell the judge, I had to know what it was like. I'm doing a film. And he would say, not anymore. But you have to use your imagination. How is that possible that I can connect this? So those 4 things. And every time you start a project, the character is outside of you. And the more research you do, the more you go back to the text, the more you use your imagination and daydream and think about things and read about things. The next time you look up, the character's here, and then it's here. And then almost like through osmosis is like, and then you got them. Then you've got your anchor. When the character is inside you, your anchor is there. And then every piece of direction you get is now filtered through the lens of that character. That's why you hear, my character wouldn't say that. It sounds hokey, but it's actually a truism. Because the actor who now owns that character knows that character better than anyone. And that's true, as long as it's not a cop-out. So every time I hear something, I'm almost always dead quiet, and I'm processing, and I'm just seeing how it feels and sending it through the filter and seeing if it makes sense to me, and we can try that. And, ooh, that felt really bad. Let's try that. And you keep trying little avenues and whatever until you land on something that resonates, which is your instinct, you know, and your artistic integrity. If it feels right, trust it. I hope all of you have that sense, and whether or not you're in the arts or just fans of the arts, patrons of the arts, thank you for supporting little films and theater pieces, and it's so important, especially now, when there seems to be so much animus and cynicism in the world, and a lot of finger pointing and a lot of anger and upset and anxiety. We need art more than at any time is when we need this to be able to teach, to be able to take someone on a trip away from their problems for 2 hours, or to dig in and really expose it and let people argue about it and talk about it. Because art really, in its best sense and best form, begins a conversation. It doesn't end it. It starts me. And the last thing I'll say is that whatever you feel as audience members or participants, what the greatest thing about art, the greatest thing, everyone is right in your opinion. No one of you is ever wrong about how you feel. Completely support you in how you feel. That's the great thing. No one can say, no, you're wrong, you didn't feel that. It's like, this is how I felt. So we can all watch a movie or a play, and we can have a variety of different feelings, and we're all right. Everyone's correct. And that's the great thing. We need to support and embrace that community of thought and supporting the arts in any form you can. And with that, I say thank you. Good night. I'll be right back.